Now, spray gunning each other with as much dirt as they can possibly do, having spewed lovey-dovey stuff to each other for months on end. It was fascinating.
I mean, if even only half of what he's saying is true, Blake Lively is a complete nightmare.
Now, spray gunning each other with as much dirt as they can possibly do, having spewed lovey-dovey stuff to each other for months on end.
And that Justin Baldoni and the producer tried to harass this woman, this Mad Hatter, who no sane man would go near with a 10-foot barge pole. It is so offensive and so ridiculous.
If what he's alleging is true, she sounds like an absolute nightmare. Tried to take over and hijack the movie, and when she didn't get her way, she brought her much richer, more successful and powerful husband in to lay down the law. If all of this is true, he's 100% justified in suing her. I don't know if it is, like it's all coming out.
That he's now got a website dedicated to spilling the dirty laundry about his co-star in the film. It's unprecedented.
What happens when Hollywood's golden girl trades her halo for a crown of thorns? Blake Lively, once the darling of red carpets and rom-coms, watched her perfect world crumble in months. And it's a story so wild you won't believe how it unfolded. Married to Ryan Reynolds, adored by millions, she seemed untouchable. But behind the glamour, a storm was brewing, one that would expose secrets, spark lawsuits, and leave her reputation in tatters. Let's dive into the chaos that turned Blake Lively from America's sweetheart into Hollywood's latest cautionary tale.
I mean, it's shocking. In many ways, I'm quite glad for like new media and all of that, because I can imagine how many people in the past have been victim to the kind of stunts that Blake Lively and her husband have pulled, now apparently in conjunction with Taylor Swift, who has oddly decided to distance herself from the couple. Look, I went through the 160-page timeline and evidence document that Justin published on his website in detail, as well as what he presented to the court, because it was fascinating.
It all kicked off with It Ends With Us, a film meant to spotlight the raw reality of domestic abuse. Lively signed on to star alongside Justin Baldoni, who was pulling double duty as director. The project promised depth, emotion, and a chance to shine, but trouble started early. Whispers from the set hinted at friction, not just creative differences, but something uglier. Lively wasn't content with just acting, she had bigger plans. And what happened next would set off a chain reaction no one saw coming.
This is an actress that was hired to be in the film, and yet she's asking the director, who's also her lead, for the cuts and the edits, and she's decided to take over the wardrobe, and she gets to choose her wardrobe and they pay for it. That's unprecedented. No one's ever heard of that. And then she has the audacity to call her husband and Taylor Swift her dragons. I mean, I urge everyone to just read through everything that Justin Baldoni.
I mean, it is utterly
shocking.
It's compelling.
On set, Lively didn't play by the usual rules. Sources say she demanded control, rewriting scripts, dictating costumes, even calling the shots on edits. She wasn't just an actress anymore, she acted like the boss. When Baldoni pushed back, she didn't hesitate to flex her muscle, bringing in her husband Ryan Reynolds to lay down the law. With his A-list clout and deep pockets, she figured no one would dare challenge her. But power moves like that don't stay quiet in Hollywood, and the crew started talking.
The publicists involved, the actors involved, everybody involved seems to be absolutely horrible.
Well, you say we haven't seen it before, but we kind of have with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And
well, that's true, yeah, but that only came out in the end in court, right?
And, I mean, that was Johnny did something I think a lot of people took notes to, like
yeah, that's true.
A receipt.
Then came the lawsuit that lit the fuse. Lively filed against Baldoni, claiming he harassed her, made her feel unsafe, the works. It sounded serious, until the cracks showed. Her story leaned on cherry-picked texts, stripped of context, painting Baldoni as a monster. She expected the public to rally behind her, no questions asked. But the internet doesn't sleep, and neither does the truth. Baldoni didn't just sit there, he fired back, and what he revealed flipped the script entirely.
He dropped all the evidence, and I think Team Justin, which, you know, same PR rep who repped Johnny, who was behind this, Blake sort of saw that as, oh, you're trying to use an Amber Heard tactic, but she didn't even realize, like, that's not a good defense. That means you're guilty, because
Baldoni dropped a bombshell, the full unedited text messages. Not only did they show Lively praising his work, calling him talented and kind, but they exposed her accusations as flimsy at best. One minute she's texting him compliments, the next she's crying victim. It didn't add up. He even launched a website spilling every detail, leaving no room for doubt. Suddenly, Lively's narrative wasn't just shaky, it was sinking, and her famous husband wasn't far behind.
Justin for dropping receipts, and I'm just sitting there like, how is this allowed? Like, Blake Lively dropped a lawsuit with all his texts, cherry-picked those texts, removed emojis and like intent and backstory to these texts.
Deleted, literally outright deleted certain sections of the text.
Yes.
Ryan Reynolds started out chummy with Baldoni. Texts prove it, full of praise and bro vibes. But once Lively's war began, he flipped. Overnight, he became her knight in shining armor, backing her claims even as evidence piled up against her. Insiders buzzed. Was he scared to cross her? Reynolds, the Deadpool star with a $400 million fortune, looked less like a hero and more like a guy caught in his wife's web. His charm couldn't save him from the whispers that he'd sold out a friend to keep the peace at home. But the drama didn't stop there.
100% took it all as
It's so
re-edited, and now
incredible.
they're mad. They're mad at Justin for releasing the full context of those texts. It makes
And
no
the worst
sense.
part of all of this, and she got her husband's PR company that wasn't signed off by Sony to take over the promotion of the film. What did Ryan Reynolds have
Lively
to do with
tried
this
to
film?
pull another ace, her BFF Taylor Swift. She name-dropped the pop icon, hinting Swift had her back in this fight. Big mistake. Swift, who's dodged drama like a pro, saw the mess and bolted. Sources say she wanted zero part of Lively's legal circus, leaving Blake high and dry. That friendship card? Burned. And just when you'd think Lively would regroup, she doubled down and tripped over her own hype in the most cringeworthy way yet.
When
But
I hear all that
originally-
kind of stuff, though, honestly, that's all been banned as well now. It's
But
like,
listen,
you can't. It's
a
like,
woman is trying to say she's uncomfortable, and then she's been hit with a retaliation.
You know what
to
she
that.
could have done? She could have pulled out of the film and retained her $400 million fortune that she has with her husband.
Yeah.
She could have done that.
And that's what's sad. It's like they should all be basking in the glory of this film, and instead they just kind of kill each other.
Picture this, a movie about surviving abuse, and Lively's out there telling fans to grab their pals, slip into cute dresses, and make it a party night. Oh, and don't forget to sip her branded cocktails while you're at it. The disconnect was deafening. Survivors called her out, fans recoiled, and the internet branded her tone deaf. She tied her alcohol line to a story of pain, like it was a marketing gimmick. Reynolds' PR team even muscled into the promo, sidelining Sony's plan. It wasn't just bad taste, it was a disaster that showed how out of touch she'd become.
Like, none of this was ever about making a good film. It was about power. It was about power. And now that power is backfiring. They tried to play it out in the public. That didn't work. They don't want Justin playing it out in the public. The only way Blake and Ryan could salvage what's left of their reputation, which they don't even realize, I truly don't think they realize how reviled they are. I don't think they realize they're losing.
Baldoni wasn't done though. He hit back with a countersuit that made jaws drop. $400 million aimed at Lively, Reynolds, and their PR machine. He brought receipts, emails, texts, timelines proving she'd tried to hijack the film, then trashed him when he wouldn't budge. It wasn't just about money, it was about clearing his name. Hollywood watched, stunned, as the guy they'd pegged as the villain turned the tables. Lively's empire was cracking, and her allies were nowhere to be found.
If they did something that no litigious celebrity has ever done, which is come out and be like, we made a mistake. Suing someone is a nightmare. It's stressful. It's expensive. It's a life ruiner. And you know what, dude? Even if we're right, it's not worth it. We're going to back away. I bet Justin would call off the dogs also.
Yeah, I mean, Critical Drinker, what's been fascinating to me.
The fallout hit hard. Peers like Jenny Slate and Isabella Ferrer, who Lively claimed suffered too, didn't back her up. In fact, they praised Baldoni. Taylor Swift ghosted her. Fans who once swooned over her Gossip Girl days now compared her to Amber Heard, another star whose half-truths tanked in court. Social media roasted her non-stop, calling out every lie, every flip-flop. Blake and Ryan, once the power couple goals, became the duo everyone loved to hate. Even die-hard supporters went quiet as the evidence stacked up. So where does this leave Blake Lively? Lawsuits loom, her career's on life support, and her sweet girl image is a distant memory. She tried to spin this as a feminist stand, a victim's cry. None of it stuck. The public sees through it. A star who craved control, wielded her fame like a weapon, and got burned when the facts fought back. Will she blame Reynolds next? Double down again? One thing's clear, Hollywood's not buying her story anymore. This isn't just a scandal, it's a reckoning, and the final act's still unwritten. What do you think? Can she claw her way back? Or is this the end of Blake Lively as we knew her?